Welcome back, everybody. We apologize. My mic decided to kind of mess with me here today. So we had to jump on and jump back on just to be able to get the mic to work again. So, welcome back, everybody. There is John sending pictures of me there on the.
You put that on your profile on your that's perfect. I
That
love
is a
that
great
picture.
picture. You know
It is a
what?
great picture.
You know what? That completely makes sense now why John sent me the video of the ugly dude. Because if that's really what I look like, holy cow! You know what? I deserve it, John. I
No,
deserve the
here's
Steve
one with
Harvey.
I think you were like googling over Zach is like,
That's right. Just don't get jealous because I look at like that at Zach.
I
You
know,
know,
right?
don't be
I
like,
am.
I wish you looked at me like you look at Zach. You know, you kind of get all
Wow. Wow.
So, anyways, Kelly, big shout out to you over there. Welcome back, everybody. We continue our conversation with the challenges that we see for 2022. And the next topic that I want to talk about, guys, and this one doesn't affect every pool pro out there, but it does affect a lot of the pool pros out there, and that is labor. And we continue to see a labor shortage and a lot of employees jumping from job to job. And it seems to be what's happening now. And it's kind of changed the name from the great resignation to the great reshuffle. And scary enough, John Zach, last month, there was 4 million employees that left their jobs. Okay. And there was 48 million employees that left their jobs in 2021. So it's just staggering. What's crazy is that 44% of your workforce of employees are active job seekers. And that doesn't mean that if something comes, they'll take it. They're active job seekers. They're looking for other jobs. So if you have 10 people, four of your employees are looking for other jobs. So you know, companies continue to raise the pay in order to attract, right? Because we're talking about a pool of people. It's that labor, right? It's the that labor market, that group of people, and people want to be a part of something. That's been made it very clear, and companies continue raising the pay, but to me, at some point, that becomes unsustainable. You know, what's going to happen when the economy kind of corrects itself and kind of comes back down? What's going to happen, especially if you have big, huge companies that you have thousands of employees and you've had to do that? It just kind of, to me, it becomes unsustainable. Zach, what are your thoughts on it, and what are you seeing in your market?
Well, it's been absolutely unreal. And you've heard, I call you all the time with crazy stories that we're dealing with. And, someone in the chat was just talking about 97 applications over a 3-day period for a pool technician job. And we've experienced the same thing. We've had a ton of applications and we've scheduled a ton of interviews. And I would say that only maybe 25 or 30% of people actually show up for the interview. And it's just mind boggling. Some of these people we're talking to 3, 4 times, different times before they come in an interview. They're calling back, "What's the address? I'll be there." And it's like, and then they don't show up. It's just absolutely crazy. And what I'm seeing is there's a lot of arrogance with people so we're getting these like a lot of like requests for very high pay in relationship to what the job is. We've had someone telling me they need $60,000 a year to do a pool route. And a lot of people seem surprised that we're even actually interviewing them and going through that process, kind of like it's beneath them. Like, why are we even going through this? Like, they should just have the job handed to them. So it's been really a tricky situation. Um, but all of that being said, I think, people who are taking the time to really look at their recruiting process, like what messaging are they sending out to people? What questions are they asking in the interview? I think that the people that spend the time kind of refining that and improving those processes will be much stronger when that economy somehow kind of corrects or has a shift or a change. And I mean, we're already shifting from the great resignation to the great, what did you call it? The reshuffling? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the Great Reshuffle.
And that's a pretty, I mean, we're talking in a matter of like 2 or 3 years, all of this has gone on. That's a very short blip of time. Like, imagine how much change is going to happen over the course of the next 3 years. And as far as what you were saying about raising pay, it's like this race to the top right now. Everyone's like, oh, I'm going to pay this much more. And the next person's going to pay this much more. And those big companies, they're not afraid to pull the plug if a change comes that requires them to. So I think a lot of these people that are hopping around and they don't value, so much of like they value the pay more than, the environment or the job security, they're going to be in for a rude awakening at some point. And so we have to be mindful of what we are willing to pay people, because we can't just keep racing to the top. A lot of these companies we can't compete with, and then we don't want to be stuck in a situation where the market does correct and then we're overpaying for what the job actually is.
What about you, John? What are you seeing out there? I know you talk to a lot of people.
I'm just, I'm trying to, I'm just absorbing it all and kind of, we're not personally hiring for anybody. So are we with the job market or the environment right now? I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on our current situation, but what I can go fall back on is prior experience and being in the situation of needing to hire people. And there was a point in time where I had to hire about 220 employees to open up a store. And when we hire people, bring people in, people that qualify or pass, it's like a psychological test or whatever, and we bring them in, we would usually lose about 20% of the people wouldn't show up. um, we scheduled 10 interviews, like 20% of the people wouldn't come up, or well, wouldn't show, and we get like 80% of them would show for the job. Now what's that is, it's flipped, right? You get 80 and maybe or 75% of them don't show and 25% of them show. So it's just interesting to kind of see it. But it all comes down to what we've said. It's just a different type of market now, right? Um it's a job seekers environment, right? um I believe the reason why people aren't showing is because there's such an abundance of jobs that they probably found a better looking job, or they think is a better looking opportunity. So they probably, and don't be fooled when somebody's applying for your job that you're the only job they're applying for. So if you interview with somebody, I guarantee you they're also looking for work with different companies. And if they have interviews scheduled with those companies, they're going to prioritize what's more important to them. And whether it's like, take this interview for this job, whatever, or this job for this one, where people, they're not going to pass up the opportunity and say, okay, yeah, I'll go out. I want to interview, and yeah, we'll set up. I'll be there. I'm excited. But then someone else called on their resume, or someone else called for the interview, and they said, well, no shit, I'd rather have this job than that job. And that's why they don't show up to the other one. So, and I think, what you said, Zach, too, we're eventually going to pop. It's going to change, and things are going to reset a little bit, and it's going to calm down. And when you talked about, corporate people pulling the plugs, or big companies, absolutely, right? They have no hesitation to lay off people.
Well, and a lot of them, John,
Yeah.
John, a lot of them are publicly traded companies.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
And so when you have a
They have
publicly
to.
traded company, that it's all about the numbers. It's
It
Wall
is.
Street. It's what you say that you're going to. So they have to pull the plug. There's no
Well, they do.
other way to do it.
Well, and the reason why is because a company's biggest expense is labor, period, right? And if you have a lot of excess fat, you trim the fat. And if you can run leaner and more productive with less amount of people, or as productive with less amount of people, then you will. And that's just business, and that's just the way it works. And it'll eventually shift, and it'll come back down. And but it doesn't happen overnight, right? It's a gradual thing that ends up happening. So, Mike said on the chat, 97, this is crazy. I remember conversations before where you couldn't find somebody for an interview. And now all of a sudden, so many people you got 100 people looking for work. And usually that's a sign of a bad economy, right? Because you got so many people, job seekers out there, and not enough jobs, but that's not really it. It's weird, right? It's like a perfect storm where it's just like it's a game almost for people that are looking for jobs now. And it's like, oh shit, everything out there. I'm just going to cast out a wide net here, and here we go. And it's not so much, they don't quite take it as serious as they did before in the past. And I think that's why you kind of get some of that arrogance um, walking into an interview room now, instead of like, hey, you know, we always used to say, however they to an interview, you come dressed up, shirt and tie, or a suit, or whatever, those types of things. Do they show up on time? Are they early? Are they late? How do they hold themselves? Those are the types of things that were, that's not the mentality anymore. They're walking into an interview like, what can you do for me? Like there's some big head, corporate CEO, or there's some big hot shot, and like, everybody, headhunters are all looking for them, and they're saying, yeah, what can you bring to the table for me? And they're coming in looking to be a pool technician, or to answer phones. And not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying entry to the skill level required, to be maybe to do warehouse work, or maybe to work at a fast food joint, or to do that kind of stuff, isn't quite as high as being an electrician, or being a pool technician, or being a nurse. So it's just weird and fascinating to just kind of see how this all unfolds, and the struggles. And I feel for every one of you out there that are looking for employees right now, but most importantly, when you do obtain them, how to retain them, right? And to keep that turnover rate down, because it's such a dog eat dog world out there when it comes down to hiring and maintaining employees, without them wanting to jump ship and looking for another, because they're thinking on the other side. You said 4 out of 10 employees are actively seeking another job. Not necessarily because because they don't like what they do. It's just that they're just trying to level up their game and try to make more money somewhere else, and they're not thinking the whole big picture like Zach about. Eventually, it's going to come crashing down. It will, and the balloons, their bubbles are going to be popped. But it's a fascinating watch. Definitely.
And we've had several people, and they're like, okay, I have all these other job interviews, and your turn, go. Like now we're like, you talked about dressing up, presenting well. Now it's like, holy crap, now we have to present well. Like, how do we get them to buy in? And we're having to walk the line. And an interesting story kind of on how everyone is trying to level up. We had one person, um, got the whole story, how out of all their interviews, we're the one they want to go with, and blah blah blah. First day on the job, by 10 a.m. they got dropped off and said, I'm out of here. I got another job called me and said, we're good to go.
Yep.
First day on the job by 10 a.m.
That's
what they're
crazy.
doing.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Saying it's just because they got so many opportunities out there, and it's just like, wow.
So we need to take a moment and thank our people that have stuck with us and say thank you.
Exactly. And
Absolutely.
don't forget about a company can do sometimes. And the problem is, and you hear it, is like, you have all these bonuses and incentives to try to bring on new, sign on bonuses for new talent onto your companies. Don't forget about the people that have stuck around and have been there for you, right? Loyalty matters. And you need to find ways to reward those people. I personally, this is what I would do, and this is what worked really well for me when I had to hire a lot of people. When you found quality employees or people that you liked, right, and that were a good fit and did well, you're a product of your environment, right? So that means that type of mentality usually attracted to other people, friends, family members that have that same mentality. Incentivize them to find good quality people to bring on board. It does 2 things for you. One, it limits the guesswork, right? Chances are the people that bring somebody on are going to bring somebody who's a good worker, because it's going to look good for them. If they're a good worker, right, they're not going to want to bring a shit. You're going to incentivize them for doing that, and rewarding them for bringing somebody on. And then most importantly, it's going to create an environment. They're gonna be happier, and their morale is going to be higher. One, because you're leaning on them. 2, because now they have people that they care about, right? That they care about, or that they enjoy working with, or being around, working with them at their job. So I would say try that approach. I don't know if you did that, Zach, or have you done that, but talk to the people that are good and that have been there and say, hey, look, I know you have good people. Do a bonus, like, hey, sign on bonus. You bring somebody on who's a quality employee, right? Incentivize them for it, and if they stick around after 6 months, give them a second bonus. Whether it's $1,000, you give them $500 for bringing them on if you decided on hiring them, and then 6 months down the road, if they're still there, shoot them another $500 or $1,000. It's cheaper than all that time you're spending interviewing people and then them coming in, hiring them, and then them leaving, and that doing that turnover and all that bullshit that you have to go through. It's much cheaper that way, and then plus you're now using it as an opportunity to reward those that are loyal to you.
Absolutely. Hey guys, let's do this. Let's take our final word from our sponsors, Zach, John. When we come back, I want to get your final thoughts.
Cue sponsors.
I can't hear shit, Edgar.
We provide extraordinary service before and after the membership and insurance is in effect. Insured members of the program get the best customer support and have peace of mind that their alliance is their voice and always fighting for their program and insurance needs. We proudly insure thousands of pool and spa professionals across the United States. With over 30 years encompassing the pool and spa industry, we know the needs of pool and spa professionals. Through the SPPA program, there are 3 tailored and customized general liability insurance options to pick from. For more information on our programs and insurance options, visit our site at www.thesppa.com. The sound of you continually pitching pool care poles into the trash. The sound of you using an Ultimate Pool Tools carbon fiber pool care pole for years to come. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
All day.
All day.
Blu-ray all day. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking to Zach. We're talking to John. We're talking about the challenges that we see going into the summer of 2022. So we're in our final thoughts. Zach, I'm going to let you go first.
We need to have like a Blu-ray all day challenge thing. Like freaking everyone go out and as they're putting one in to do the Blu-ray all day.
That's a good idea.
That is a
Post
good
it.
idea.
Tag Pool Nation. I don't know how we quantify a winner of the challenge, but hey, everyone
Well,
get
I
on
think
board.
we would have to have Devin pick the winner.
I
There
would
you
say
go.
Devin would do it and he would win.
So final thoughts. I know there are a lot of different things being thrown at us, and it's honestly getting exhausting trying to maneuver through it all. But when I think about it, there is a certain quote that pops in my head to kind of sum it all up. Let's see if you guys know this quote, but if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. And that's what I constantly, Edgar has no idea what I'm talking about. That's what I constantly think about. And so I hope everyone is out there and everything that's being thrown at them, all of these wrenches, you're working on practicing dodging them. And then when things lighten up, you'll be really light on the feet and be able to maneuver through it all. So
Absolutely. John, final thoughts.
I got that. And that was a badass quote, by the way. And
I'm
one
going
of
to Google it.
my favorite.
Let me see
One of
what
my
Steve
favorite
Harvey
movies,
says.
probably. No.
and
That's,
it applies.
It does apply. And my head from that one too is I drink my own urine because it's what is it? Because it's what is it? Screw
You guys
that up.
talking about the movie Dodgeball?
Because yeah,
You just
dodgeball.
Googled it. You just Googled it.
Dodgeball.
Is that from
Yeah.
Dodgeball?
Yes. That's one of my favorite movies. So that's perfect. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Absolutely. Look, my thing is I totally messed up that quote, but what is it? I drink my own urine because I like the taste, and it's something. I can't remember what it was, so somebody help me out. But it's sterile. There it is.
Wow.
Because it's sterile and I like the taste, I think is what he said.
I like the ting and it's sterile is what they're saying over here.
Yeah, it's it right there. There he goes. But I think this is a great podcast, and this is that for the last couple of days, this is all we've been talking about on the phone. And it's funny that we brought this up, and that and that minds of every business owner right now, especially who has employees or who's looking to hire employees. You get in some form or fashion going through this struggle, and it's real. And it's very important to make calculated moves and to make the right moves so that you can set yourself up for success and you can capitalize on the situation and not be or damaged by the situation. We can go on talking for another 2 hours and what we're facing, but if anybody gets anything out of this is don't be laxed right now, right? Don't sense of security that, hey, look, there's so many applicants out here that it's going to be easy for me to find somebody. And Zach, you nailed it when you said, the mentality, the shift in from the job applicants, right? And it's like the tides have turned in their favor, and it's been that way for a little while. And now I think we're all the way up at the peak of when it's the market turned in their favor. But again, it's just wow, how fast. Just think about the last couple of years. What a ride it's been for everybody.
What a roller coaster.
Oh shit, man. And talk about this is if you survived from 2 years ago up able to survive the next year and a half, right? You are a seasoned vet when it comes down to being an entrepreneur and a business owner. Congratulations to you. You have learned a lifetime's worth of lessons, right? In a very short period of time, and you've managed to successfully navigate yourself, your business through, right? And you're able to, and once all this passes, I promise you, you will definitely thrive, right? And you will build a business that is built to last. So again, kudos to everybody out there. We know the struggle is real. Another thing I want to say, hey, look, remember, go on our website, click on that button, ask us to cover, either on the podcast or the Instagram live podcast. Thank you, boys, for jumping in and listening to us live and giving us a laugh. Much appreciated. Other than that, have a wonderful night. I got to get to work. Or
Yeah,
wonderful
guys.
day.
Yeah,
There's a lot of things out there that are, obviously still going on. So things are starting to slow down just a tad. And I'm not saying that they're slowing down. We were in this crazy, crazy demand. Things are now leveling itself to a high demand, right? We don't have that continuous craze. And, the Fed raised interest rate a little bit, so that'll kind of slow down the borrowing and stuff like that. So we're still going to be very busy, but it's not going to be that complete craze. But like John said, you can't take your eye off the prize. You can't, lose focus now and think that everything's going to go back to normal. You have to keep your finger on the pulse. And the last thing that I'm going to say before we jump on here, guys, is for those of you that have employees, really focus on that retention. You really have to be able to maintain, because normally what we do is we focus on the problem and we're focusing on hiring and hiring and hiring and hiring. And what happens is we forget about the people that we have in-house. So focus on them, focus on retaining those employees so that as you bring more people in, the more you can retain. So if you take your eye off of that, you're going to be in that vicious cycle. So anyways, Zach, John, I want to thank you for your time as usual. Everybody have a great weekend. John and I will be on the Instagram Live on next Wednesday. We'll see you then. Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at PoolmanUniversity.com.